Hi, everybody. I'm Steve Pond, the awards editor of TheWrap. We're happy to have you here for this year's award season screening series and for today's screening of 14 Days, 12 Nights, the Canadian entry in the Oscars Best International Feature Film category. We're going to start with the trailer to the film, and then I'll have a conversation with director Jean-Philippe Duval. To the audience, please participate in the live chat during the conversation. Let us know what you thought of the film, where you're watching from. And before we introduce Jean-Philippe, here's the trailer for 14 Days, 12 Nights.
Les enfants sont la voix du monde. Au nom de tous nos orphelins, merci de votre support. Allô? On se fait dormir? Ouais. C'est la première fois que vous venez au Vietnam? Oui. Vous avez des enfants? Non. Vous? Non. C'est drôle, ici, ça me fait penser chez moi. Je savais pas que vous aviez une baie de Halong au Québec. Vous avez des questions sur notre itinéraire des prochains jours? Non, je vous fais confiance, c'est vous qui savez. L'orignal? Oui, l'orignal. C'est gros. C'est beau et laid à la fois, ça dépend. Dans le Nord, dès qu'on ouvre nos portes, c'est comme si on ouvrait nos cœurs. Par contre, si on nous fait du mal, on est un peu rancunier.
Welcome back. It's my pleasure to introduce director Jean-Philippe Duval.
Hello.
Hi.
Hello,
Welcome.
Steve. Hi. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I just have to start by asking, was it as beautiful to film this film as it is to watch it?
Okay, yeah. Yeah, it was an incredible journey for me in my personal life first, and for doing this movie. Maybe I think it's my most personal movie ever.
Really?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. So in what way? I mean, it's about a woman who adopted a child from Vietnam, and the child dies in an accident at the age of 17, and she goes back to Vietnam and meets the birth mother. So I wouldn't necessarily think, oh, that must be a personal story to you.
Yes, you're right. It's not documentary. I've done a lot of documentaries in my life. But I would say I'm first a father of two young boys. And also my sister adopted a little girl from China 15 years ago. So I was very, very part of this in our family before I had myself children. And when I read the script at first, it's written by a woman who adopted herself two little girls, one from Vietnam and one from China. So we were, as a team, very engaged in that story at first. And I was very touched by this quest of Isabelle. It's, for me, there's a lot of levels of layers in that story. And yes, it was very an instant, I felt in love for it.
Mm-hmm. Right. So did you just get the script pitched to you, or how did you come across it?
I had a chance, actually. It's a very small movie. I would say small in the sense of independent, low budget, and the producer wanted to engage a director at the very first step of the movie. So I just read a one-pager, honestly. So the script wasn't done yet. And I just felt that it was perfect for me. You know, when you do any art, I guess, but when you do a movie, it's so engaging. It's so many time of your life spending on that. When I read that one pager, I just felt that it was for me at that precise time of my life. I've done a lot of film before, documentaries, would say movies may be more happy or more comedy things. But this was, for me, a movie about, peace in this world so crazy, especially now, I would say. And it was also about healing, about redemption. All these themes were, for many reasons, as an artist, I was very, very overwhelmed and very concerned by that. So, and it was, I think, a way to connect to my old, very first, as a young cinema student, way of telling stories. I was very impressed by all the road movies of the 70s by Wim Wenders, and more recently by Wong Kar-wai cinema and Japanese cinema. So it was my roots. No one knows about it, but I knew that this story was probably connecting from something from the past for me, and also to connecting to my present in what I was experiencing with my family and all.
Right. I read somewhere that the movie that made you want to be a director was Francois Truffaut's Day for Night, and I'm wondering if it's coincidence that you've now made a movie with day and night in the title.
I didn't think about it, but yes, François Truffaut and all the Nouvelle Vague was very important for me. But when you go in the in your life, in your career, sometimes surprisingly you forgot about this, and I don't know why. Maybe because this story is so engaging emotionally, so I had to, as the character, to stop my whole life, maybe for the first time since 20 years. So I traveled over there. I stayed in Vietnam for 6 months, and when people asked me, your budget was so low, how did you did it? I said, it doesn't cost a lot to stay in a small room 4 months alone, or with just one person of my crew. So I think it was the best way for me to do this movie.
Mm-hmm. So did you spend a lot of time in Vietnam before you started filming?
Oh yes, 6 months before, 8 months before.
Really?
So actually, I've been to Vietnam with a scriptwriter. So the mother of these two young daughters she adopted. So it was, and I asked her to come with me at first. I've done a lot of documentaries, and I guess I approached this movie at first as a documentary. At the end, we transform it into a feature film and artistic way of telling the story. But at first, I traveled over there, and I asked her, how did you feel when you first went to Vietnam to meet your little daughter? What is it? And actually, she spent at that time 14 days approximately, because it's very fast. You go there, you meet the orphanage, and you take your child and you go away. So I traveled in Vietnam at first exactly the same way these parents travel when they adopt children. And then after that, I traveled by myself with the art director, André-Lyne Beauparlant, who worked in Quebec in Incendie. You may know about this movie. I worked with Yves Bélanger, the great cinematographer, who worked on a lot of great movies in Hollywood, and and they are friends actually since many years. We are a bunch of French Quebecer filmmakers who are doing a lot of work together, and we this way I could feel more humble and less imposter to film in Vietnam at the end. It's very impressive to go in such a rich culture, a beautiful country which history is so unbelievable, and to put your camera in the street, you have to. For me, it was important to know what I was doing. I was not just there to grab something and then go away. I wanted to feel honest in every shot I've made.
Mm-hmm. Right. In the time that you spent in Vietnam before you started filming, did your ideas about the movie you wanted to make change much?
Good question. I would say I've changed on something very intimate. I think I was at first, as we probably are when we travel, with my conception, my vision of this culture and the guilt of the West, because yes, we made so much damage in Vietnam, especially, and I was afraid, I guess, and they learned to me, because I spent a lot of time with Vietnamese, with translator, with people from the street, and they learned to me how to be more open, more peaceful. They are peaceful, essentially. And I was very, in a way, surprised, maybe, because, I don't know, I was arriving with this script talking about, the consequences of the war. I was from the West, from Canada, and I wasn't sure how they will accept us. And they read the script. I work with a producer over there. His wife is from Hanoi. She read the script and she said, "Oh my God, you're so close to our reality," and they helped me to connect and to feel less guilty in a way, and to let my vision flows. So they are very, very, very respectful, peaceful. You can be in Vietnam and no one will, annoy you or stop you on the street. So I felt very free to go to film there.
Yeah, right. So how difficult was it to find your two lead actresses? I mean, it's two extraordinary performances. I think everybody who sees Canadian cinema is familiar with Anne, but what was the casting process like?
I love Anne. I worked with her years ago. Of course, she's amazing, and I tell to her when she accepted the story, she read the script and she just called me back, a few hours later, and she said, "Oh my God, I love it." But I said to her, "We're gonna do casting together, if you don't mind." For me, it wasn't, but the way I direct anyway is always with my creators around me, with my crew. And I said to Anne, "We're gonna do the casting together. I have a great casting agent, so of course to help me." But we went to Paris to meet actresses, Vietnamese actresses speaking French. We went also to Vietnam to search for actresses. Vietnamese people of 35 something, they don't speak French anymore in Vietnam. So we went to Paris. We do some casting in Montreal after that first round of casting. And then Anne was there with me doing this audition, and it wasn't, small 1 hour audition. We were literally spending half of a day and more with the few actresses who came in Montreal. And all the way, I would say, on this movie, I didn't have a big budget, but time was the resource I had, and we decided to take our time at every step of this movie. And the producer let me do like this. So with Anne, we spent months just to read the script in Montreal, to find the perfect crew. And I waited for my Yves Bélanger cinematographer. I waited for André-Lyne Beauparlant, DA2, and I waited for this Lea Nachea actress who is unbelievable. She for her also it was a journey back to Vietnam, because she's Vietnamese, but she was born in Paris, and she was very touched by the script at first. She's a great artist, and she's also a dancer, contemporary dancer. And I love that because she expresses a lot with her body language. This movie, as you've seen it, there's few dialogues, you know, it's not a book movie with a lot of words, but with a lot of emotion. And I think Liana Chea, the actress, has that, you know, naturally, probably because she's a dancer also. And so with Anne, it was connecting very instantly. They had a wonderful audition here. And then we traveled with Liana in Vietnam prior to the shooting. And Liana everyone was very concerned by that. And she decided to travel with her mother. So she asked to her mother to come in Vietnam with her. Her mother was born in the South, in Saigon. And it was very amazing to be on the set with Liana Chea and Dorval, and with the mother of Liana looking at us, you know, doing this movie, part of her story in a way. And she was talking in Vietnamese with her daughter, and she said, "Oh, it's wonderful. Maybe you should don't forget this and this." It was very, very like a family, you know, and everyone wanted to capture and transmit something very genuine and very authentic.
Yeah, right. So did you rehearse actual, you know, the lines and all with the actresses a lot beforehand, or?
Actually, it depends. It depends on each project for myself. But on this, not a lot, because I come from documentary, you know, and I like the spontaneity. I like to be when the actors are very spontaneous. And yes, we were sold just the text, but not the emotion of the text. I did much more work with Vietnamese actresses, because this was the tough part for me, because I didn't know, you know, the casting over there. So we worked with very well-known, actually, actors in Vietnam. We were on the street filming, and people were stopping all around. They were stars over there. And I didn't really realize that, maybe. So it was a very small shooting, but sometimes we had a crowd around us because we were with great cast of Vietnam. So yes, with them, I had to work more on rehearsal, because I was with a translator and we had to understand everything. And they are very professional, and they ask me a lot about everything on each scene. It could, you know, on all the way I will film it, where I'm gonna put a camera, especially the grandmother. The grandmother is a very well-known actress. She's unbelievable, and she what you see in the movie seems so fluid and so natural, but we discussed a lot before that.
Right. I mean, one of the things that I found particularly effective is the way the film sort of moves freely through time, and it doesn't really give a signpost a lot of the time, which can be disconcerting. You know, at first you feel, you know, a little, you don't quite have your bearings, which is perfect, because neither does the character, and it creates this wonderful rhythm and storytelling style. I mean, was that in the script from the beginning, or was that something you brought to it?
I'm smiling because you're so wise, and you see a lot of things, and I love it. Because when we do movie, you know, we just want to let it flow, and we don't want to talk about our secrets. But right now, I would say you're absolutely right. For me, I done a lot. I didn't, you know, done a lot of feature film because I worked the last 10 years on a TV show, and it was very character-driven series, very intense here in Quebec, and very, would say, a good success. And I think I've learned a lot with older directors who talk to me a lot about the character-driven, the force of a character. And I think now I'm more, I put my camera where my character is. So this opening of the movie, this structure you talk about is very character driven. I think we had as an audience to be into the eyes level of this woman, mother from North America, arriving in Vietnam for the second time of her life. But her eyes are new, you know. So the way I managed the editing wasn't absolutely not in the script at first. It was a way for me to deconstruct, as Isabel, the North American mother, is deconstruct, or you know, she's in pain. Actually, she's suffering, and she goes there, and she's not knowing why exactly. She just has, you know, this need to reconnect with his pain and to solve something. So yes, it appears during the editor way, and yes, I think it gives maybe more strength to the story in a way.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, you know, the movie obviously deals with some really dramatic emotional issues, but as you said before, I mean, there's not a lot of dialogue. I mean, it's people who aren't saying what they're thinking about, who, you know, who have all this stuff going on inside, but don't really want to talk about it, or can't talk about it. So, I mean, I wonder, how do you make sure that that's coming across when for a lot of the movie it's not there in the dialogue?
I will tell you a little secret. I have I stayed in Vietnam, as I told you, to film Vietnam, but also to prepare the shooting. And when I was preparing it, I was in my hotel room, and I had this movie of Bergman, you know, Persona of Ingmar Bergman, and this movie has no dialogue, and it was very an inspiration for me. And Bergman says about this character, interpreted by Liv Ullmann, he says she refuses to speak because, in fact, she doesn't want to lie. So I took this from Bergman and his character, and for me, in a way, it helped me to be more confident, you know, because yes, sometimes we're used to it, and I was doing a lot of TV series and TV show where dialogues is all the time, you know, up front, and you cut after a line and everything. So now my guide was not the dialogue. My guide was the character-driven emotion. So I literally draw a you know, a timeline of the movie with the timeline of the emotion of the character. So I showed that to the two main actresses. I said, this is the way I see it. The way Isabel is lost at the first, she's doing circles. She doesn't know where to go, what's going to happen. And finally, she meets the woman of her daughter, and she's unshocked. And then I literally, draw this. And for me, Vietnam and the road movie was, the landscapes were at you know, second level all the time to follow the inner journey of the character. And I think when I just grabbed this idea, I was able to connect with my cinematographer, to my art director, to the actors, to say, we're doing a good travel in Vietnam. It's wonderful. Yeah, the crew is going to be happy. But that's not the point. And I don't want to do postcards of Vietnam. I don't care about it. I want to be here to express emotionally, poetically, with pictures, landscape, emotion, everything. So I think we say a movie is a crew work. This movie, very small crew, was very, very important for me so I work like this. you know.
Mm-hmm. Right. I mean, it sort of leads up to this scene where Isabel finally reveals why she's there, and that scene is just totally wrenching when she's finally saying, you know, I adopted your daughter and she's dead. But it's done in a way where, you know, Isabel can't even look at her when she's saying this, which is such a wonderful detail, that she's making this big confession while looking away from the person she's talking to. You know, did that come out of the performance, or was that planned?
You put your finger on the right spot. I guess we went to Vietnam to film this scene, honestly, and we were all concerned and conscious of that. And the day of shooting of this scene, and honestly, we didn't rehearse anything. We almost talked. We didn't really talk about this scene before with the actresses, and the way it happened, it was just, you know, we were in front of these beautiful mountains in the Halong Bay. They were just in front of the river, and Anne just sit there, and then the other character arrives in bicycle and sit beside her, and we just, you know, place the thing, but we didn't rehearse the text, nothing. And we went with this very, you know, almost frontal 2-shot, and we let it go. And the original takes is 8 minutes maybe. And I said cut, and my cinematographer came to me and he was crying. Really, he was holding camera, and at the end he was, my God, I couldn't hold the camera anymore because I'm just crying. And he never cries, absolutely, normally. And I went to Anne and Liana, and I said, we have it. That's the scene. And Anne looked at me and said, are you serious? We went to Vietnam to do this scene, and we do just one shot, one take. We can do another take. We can do close-ups. And I said, I know it's crazy. We travel all this and all months for this revelation scene. But I said, no, we stopped. And when I look back and say, oh my God, I was crazy. It was maybe risky, I don't know. And I asked to review it, honestly, on the set. And I just put my headphones again. And I look at it and I said, no, it's perfect. It's perfect. So we add 3 or 4 more hours in the schedule suddenly to do something else. So I've done the shot of Thuy bicycling, you know, the shot just after that scene where she's going away and, you know, on her bicycle, slow motion. And we did a lot of things who was not, you know, supposed to be in the movie, because we just did this one shot, one take of this scene. So yeah, I think we were very aware of everything. And when you come from documentary, it's part of your, you know, your work and your way of looking things to always see an opportunity in life. Everything could be different if you focus on what you want to tell, of course, in your story.
Yeah. I get the sense that this film is more influenced by the work you've done in documentary than the work you've done in television.
Absolutely. The work I've done in television is art, directing, and it's a lot of work with actors. Honestly, it's a TV show about women in jail here in Montreal, and I love to work with actors. But so in a way, it could help. But my work in 14 days, 12 nights is, as I said, very personal and probably connecting with my roots as a filmmaker. And I don't know why I spend that much time to finally go to that kind of storytelling, but it's very close to me, honestly.
Right. So on this one, were there certain things that were the biggest challenge for you to get? I mean, the scene you went there to get, you got in one take. So what were the challenges?
So many, only 19 days of shooting in Vietnam. It's very, very, very short to do a feature film. We were working and finishing at night, and sometimes like a circus crew going in the trucks and going away to be ready for the next place for the next morning. So a lot of the challenges, but of course the main challenge for a director is to stay focused on the emotion, to be to be precise, to be right, to be open, and I was also very impressed by this culture, as I told you, and to stay respectful, humble, and not to take Vietnam as just something, as a scenery. So it was, for me, it's poetic. And when you touch to poetry, you have to be in a very special state when you create this kind of movie. And yes, probably the most difficult thing was I do a lot myself of Qigong and Tai Chi. So what you see in the film in Hanoi is also part of what I did with Vietnamese, but I do Qigong since 15 years. So I did a lot of meditation in my own life, and a lot of stuff were inside me I've put in this movie, and I think I didn't know that. I'm talking to you today because it's been a while I've done the movie. So, but I wasn't sure that everything of it was consciously put in the movie at that time. And I think it was the biggest challenge, to stay focused, to stay aware, to stay honest also. And when I look back, I feel great about it.
Yeah, I would think you always have to be aware. You're making a movie about the relationship between these two women, but in a certain way, you can never lose sight of. There's also this relationship between this country and the West, which is,
absolutely,
which underlines every moment of the film in certain ways.
Everywhere, every time, it was there. Each time I was putting my camera, I was conscious that I was from the West, filming something happening there, and we didn't want to do a political movie at all. But the background of this story and of the Vietnam War was there, and it was in the script already. And it was, for me, very important to understand that, honestly, in that time, we have to stop something. We have to stop to destroy in many ways. So I decided to do not a documentary about it. We see what's gonna happen, what is happening in the world right now, everywhere. But I wanted to talk about this reconciliation. It's the only way for me to continue. So yes, war were there, but we are human beings. We are innocent in a way. Isabel is innocent. Thuy is innocent, and they have to find a way to heal. So it's a film about healing too, and a way to try to go to the others, to respect people, not to bomb them, and we have to deal with everyone right now on the planet more than ever. So I was conscious of that when I was filming. And Vietnamese also, they are very, very aware of what's happening everywhere in the world. And yeah, they were very welcoming for this script and this story.
Hmm. Right. So now you were able to have a theatrical release in Canada before COVID hit, right? Did you?
We had, and the critics were, I have to be honest, unbelievable. It was 4 stars everywhere. It was very, very popular. We had a very good box office at first, and we were, you know, as always, fighting with big majors film and blah blah blah. But unfortunately, COVID arrived, and the film was just stopped in its career. So I'm very proud and honored to represent Canada with that movie, and it's a way for us to, you know, to put the film where it should be. I think because we worked. Everyone worked hard, but we worked hard on that one. And yes, it was a bit very disappointing to see all these theaters empty suddenly. But we never know what's going to happen with the movie. It's not over yet.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Well, I mean, it is just a beautiful and profound movie. So, you know, thank you for coming here to talk to us about it. And, you know, for people who are watching, thank you for joining us today. We're going to have lots more of these screenings coming up. So sign up for our free trial TheWrap Pro to learn about the screenings, and check our screenings page at screenings.thewrap.com. So Jean-Philippe, thank you very much for the film and the conversation.
Thank you to you. It was my pleasure, really.